All right, guys, we're just getting everything up and running. Jeremy and Scott Schmid, good evening, good evening. How are you guys? Harrison Lunker, Mountain Box, welcome everybody on Instagram. So we have two of the three. Jay Colley from Facebook, how you doing? Glenn from Facebook, good evening. Kevin Walter, how we doing? So Lucas Bush, good evening. Welcome everybody. Larry Bennett from John Day, Oregon, from our YouTube channel is with us. Sean Keller, how you doing, buddy? So it looks like everything is connected and up and running. So, okay, C Slider, how you doing? Anthony Boyd, good evening. Alex, how you doing? Figured you may have been lucky enough to be going live from the SHOT Show. No, I'm not at SHOT this year, so I didn't hit ATA or SHOT. So, Brian, good evening. Scott did a leg workout last night. Glad for an excuse to sit down. Yeah, I know. Isn't that funny? The leg day, you kind of kill it, and then the next day you're almost walking like the guy with the Edgar suit from Men in Black. So, Nicholas Curry, hello. Defuse, good evening from Louisiana. Thank you. So, Chad Moss, hello. Braggin Board, Andy, welcome, welcome, bud. Hey, had a great time shooting with you this past weekend, Andy. So, Jonathan Rush made it live for once. Perfect. So we're getting more people jumping in on Instagram. So tonight a little bit, we're just going to kind of talk about hunting gear and selection processes. So I think we have everything up and running. So let's jump into Grant McCown. Howdy, got my ECA hat today. Looks and fits awesome. Perfect. Chad Moss, you heading to SLC Hunting Expo? Yes, Chad, I will be there all 4 days of the Hunt Expo. I'm going to be bouncing around to different booths, so hopefully I will put some sort of a schedule together so that you guys will know where I'm at. Would absolutely love to meet as many as I can at the show. So, Kyle, I agree 100%. Kyle says September can't come soon enough. So, Lunker Hunt Lane, hello. Lars, hello. So, okay, so let's jump into it. So, Lee Cotton, what up, Home Slice? How you doing, bud? James, hello. All right, everybody. My name is Michael Batiste. I'm with the Elk Calling Academy. Welcome to Wapiti Wednesday Q&A. So, if this is your first time joining us tonight, the way kind of Q&A works is I start with a subject, kind of start talking on that subject. At any time, feel free to go ahead and put your questions in. It doesn't matter whether you're joining us from Facebook, from Instagram, or YouTube. We do have chat set up on all of these lives, so that way all of you have the ability to put your questions in and get them answered. If this is your first time joining us, or you guys have joined us and you're really liking the content that you're seeing on these, make sure that you subscribe, like, or follow depending on the platform that you're joining us at. So, all right. Real quick, Larry Bennett, what was the name of that stabilizer quiver? It's actually called the Quivalizer. Just combine quiver and stabilizer. It is the Quivalizer from Option Archery. So, GC calls, did I miss it? Freddie, no, you were right in time. So, okay, so like I said, tonight we're going to kind of talk about hunting gear selection, and it's not that I'm really going to talk about specific hunting gear or brands, but so last Friday I posted a video of the head-to-head bow battle between the Hoyt RX3 and the Matthews Traverse, and kind of reading through the comments, some of the messages and conversations that I've had with people, it's been pretty interesting. And I knew it was going to be this way, that there's definitely brand loyal individuals. And trust me, you find a good brand, by all means, stay with that brand. Absolutely. But what I found was really interesting was talking with some of these people, and yes, I have gotten all kinds of questions about how I did the testing and how I set the bows up, and truly was it an unbiased, even comparison? If I'm going to do anything where I'm going to compare products, I am going to have them as evenly matched as possible to make it a fair and unbiased test. And in fact, all these bow tests head to head that I'm doing, I've been a PSE shooter for years. I don't have a favoritism to one brand or another, so I'm not skewing anything. What I'm trying to do is give you guys information to help you make buying decisions on all this gear. But the thing that I found from some of the conversations was, people definitely are brand loyal, but I started talking to some of them. Like there was a couple of individuals that was really about this brand or that brand, and I asked them, just flat out, what is it about that brand that you like? And I was kind of amazed at how many people were like, well, that was the first bow that I shot and I've been shooting it ever since, and it's the best bow on the market. And I asked them, how can you claim that that's the best bow on the market? And they go, well, what do you mean? I said, have you ever shot another brand? No. Then how can you make the claim that that brand is the best on the market? And that really got me thinking, the best brand or this or that, technology changes and they tweak things, but honestly, if all you've ever done is eat vanilla ice cream, are you going to run around and tell everybody that vanilla ice cream is the best ice cream in the world? Because that's all you know. You haven't tried anything else. How do you know that chocolate's not the best or Rocky Road's not the best? If you haven't tried something else, how can you claim that that one thing is the best? So that got me thinking about, gear selection and kind of some of the things that I go through when Greg Puffy, I like chocolate. I appreciate it. So, it just got me thinking about processes that I kind of go through, like right now. So I shot in a 3D archery shoot this weekend indoor, and I have been shooting the Knock To It thumb release, which is basically a Carter release. And I have tried you guys are killing me. I've shot other style of releases in the past. I've shot, the wrist traditional. I've shot other thumb releases. I've shot back tension, and individual that was shooting kind of next to us had the new Stand Perfects, which I didn't know anything about. And so, I shot a couple of shots with it. And so then, Sunday night when I got home, I just kind of started doing some research, and that's what got me thinking about, this process also. So really, I really think the best way to go. So first off, when it comes to a bow, I really think what you need to do is find your price point and then shoot every bow within your price point, because each bow is going to have a different draw cycle. The handle is going to be different. The angle is going to be different. The valley is going to be different. The wall is going to be different. The shot execution, how much vibration you have in the front hand. All this stuff is different from bow to bow, and you really need to shoot them all to find out. But what about some of the other stuffs? What about rests and sights and releases and all this stuff? And so that's what we're going to kind of talk about tonight. So really, getting with this back to the Stand Perfects, what I did Saturday or Sunday night was immediately jump online and start doing research. Finding out anything I could about that Stand Perfects, watching videos. And here's the thing, if you're going to start doing research on gear, don't just go to one site and read one review. Don't just go watch one YouTube video. Watch all that you can and gather, because what that's going to do is it's going to give you this broad picture of that piece of equipment or piece of gear that you're looking at. You're going to find pros, you're going to find cons. And the thing about going to multiple sites is then you can gather all that information. You can almost start doing a little cheat sheet of writing pros and cons, and then you can, you know, read through that, and then, like I said, then you have that in front of you, and then you can really get a broad picture of that gear that you're looking at. So never-ending ways to spend money. I know, and that's one thing that we were talking about, you know, at the shoot this weekend too, is it's, you know, we're kind of funny as archers, because, you know, we get a bow set up, we get it tuned, we get it shooting really well, then we really spend the time to really dial that thing in, and then once it's sitting there driving tacks, what do? We start messing with it. We start changing things. You know, we're always striving. We're always trying to find better performance. So, Andrew Walla from YouTube, do you hunt with a hand release? Yes, I hunt with a thumb release. I did have somebody ask if I would do a review of or a video of the different types of releases and advantages and disadvantages and what I like. And yeah, I like the thumb release. For me, I feel stronger in the draw. I feel stronger in the anchor. It's just something for me that works really well. But that has come over time with testing different things. Every couple of years, I'll still get a trigger, you know, a wrist strap trigger release, just to try it, just to make sure that that thumb release is still the best for me. Mountain Hunter Box, it's so easy to fall into the hype and learn quickly. It's not for you. Yeah, and that's exactly it. You know, the hype. You know, what's all the cool kids doing, and you know, what's the most popular this week, or you know, what's the group of our buddies, you know, shooting, and it's easy to fall into that. But really, also with gear too, is you need to, I mean, gear's expensive on all the pieces, so it can add up really quickly. In fact, Garrett Weaver, you know, is doing that budget bow this year, and I think that is a great thing, because it's showing that you can, you know, you don't have to spend this huge amount to get performance. You know, I was kind of chuckling because one of the discussions that I had with somebody about that video I posted Friday was at the end, when I made, you know, my choice, when I had the two videos, they wanted to know why I didn't talk about weight, because that was an advantage on the Hoyt side, which, yeah, it is. The Hoyt is lighter, but honestly, what do we all do with a bow? We start adding things to it to add weight. And honestly, a little heavier bow actually holds steadier and truer in the wind than a lighter bow. It's not affected, you know, as much. So, you know, we'll add weights. And so yeah, I didn't mention weight. I did in the beginning, but not at the end. But anyways, you know, getting back, sorry. Burnside on Instagram, marketing thinks you have to try the latest or you won't be successful. It is. I mean, I understand they're companies. They want to sell their gear. They want to turn a profit each year. But there's also nothing wrong with getting something and, you know, using that equipment or that gear, you know, for several years or a few years. And then, you know, maybe passing that off to somebody else and upgrading, or just upgrading, you know, a piece. So let's see, we've got a lot of comments rolling in. So, to Nicholas, sometimes it's affordability. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Stay within your budget. The best is what fits you and makes you the best. Absolutely. So, never-ending ways to spend money. My new bow just went through the washing. My new bow just went into a new washing machine. Okay, Paul, I get it. So the money you had set aside for the new bow actually just went into buying a new washing machine. And yeah, I mean, life happens. So I go with anything that will get the hunt done with durability to last year after year. Good stuff is also expensive. I have always done hours and hours of research. Perfect. So, but I'm a bit OCD, LOL. You know what, Brian? Maybe I'm a bit OCD too, because I do the same thing. You know, I want to check all the. I'm very analytical when it comes to buying stuff. You know, because we all work really hard for our money. So why not? And you know, with some of this, it's kind of hard to really test it, play with it. You know, obviously you can't go into an archery shop and just, you know, maybe some will, you know, they'll allow you to take some of these sights out of the package and put them on your bow so that you can draw and see what they look like and fire a few shots with each. Releases, definitely. You can try different releases. In fact, a lot of shops have, you know, a few selections of releases in a case that you know, you can try. But, you know, honestly, a lot of the online places, you know, Amazon has a tremendous return policy. So you can definitely play with a lot of this equipment and gear to really find what fits you. Because I'll be honest, you know, 3, 4, 5 shots really aren't going to give you a real strong picture of, you know, how that thing is. You have to really spend time with that stuff. So, Matt, who cares what the cool kids are doing? Do what you want to do. Absolutely. Dance to the beat of a different drum. So, tuned up archery. Have you ever punched yourself in the face with a thumb release? I have not with a thumb release. So, I have shooting a hinge release. So, but thumb release, no, haven't done it yet. And I better find some wood to knock on because I may have just jinxed myself. So, Lucas, my last 2 bows have been secondhand. Absolutely. So do you shoot a cable or limb driven? This year I am shooting a cable driven. Last year was a limb driven. So I've noticed clearance with my setup on both of them just fine. So really haven't had an issue too much. So to Jeffrey Duncan, hello. Jeremy, still shooting 7-year-old PSE. Upgrade as things wear out. My bow is a Bowtech Diamond Pro, $600 bow. You know what, though? It's still, you know what, John? I'll bet you that that $600 bow still fires that pointy thing downrange where you want it to and works just fine. So, Lee, would love to see some top bow hunter take a 10-year-old bows and show that you can be successful with whatever works for you. So, Chad, priorities hand washing is easy. I like that, Chad. So, okay. Now, you know, another great option that you can do is sport shows. If you have the ability to attend sport shows, because there are a lot of vendors and shops that will have, you know, some of this gear that you can check out. And one of the things that I do when I'm searching is I will type in whatever. So let's go back to that stand. So I typed in Stand Perfects Reviews. And, you know, that will pull up all kinds of information. And you can do that with any type of gear that you're looking at. Now, I know also that not everybody has an archery shop that they can run to. There's just some areas that don't have access to that. So pretty much your research is online, and your research of all this is limited to, you know, what you can do. One of the other things that you can do is you know, call up an archery shop and talk to them. You know, last week I was wearing the hat from Archery Unlimited there in Etna, Wyoming. That's, you know, Neil is actually the one that set up that Matthews Traverse and sent it over to me. I would recommend anybody, if you had questions about anything, Archery Unlimited in Etna, Wyoming, Neil and Mary and the crew there, very knowledgeable, great crew to talk to. But here's the cool thing that, and also if you were going to, you know, order, say, for example, a bow, okay, again, Archery Unlimited, the one thing I really like about Neil, he's 4.5, almost 5 hours from where I'm at. But that bow showed up in the box already with the release on it, tied into the cable, timed, my D-loop on, and that whole bow timed. He actually had a piece of paper that he actually wrote out everything about the bow. The specs on the bow, actually what he got on the draw board, what it actually was, how many pounds it actually did, and then he used that piece of paper to paper tune and showed me the first 3 shots that he did. So basically all I had to do was pull it out of the box, bolt my sight on it, put my quivalizer on it, shoot it through paper once just to verify for my style of shooting, and then I was dialing in. It was good to go. So, but guys like Neil are, you know, a great source for information. Same thing, you know, we've got a couple of archery shops here in the Boise area that, you know, I can go in and talk to those guys or, you know, call them on the phone. So don't be afraid to call them and say, hey, what do you think about ABC 1, 2, 3? You know, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? You know, most places are going to be honest with you. But the thing about some archery shops and a lot of archery shops is you do have archery shops that are very brand loyal, that are going to really push certain brands and certain manufacturers. That's not really what you want. So, oh, real quick while I'm thinking about it, my buddy Mason, he has a YouTube channel, Mountain Tough Outdoors. He's a young man in Oregon that's just getting into filming and reviews and brands and stuff. So just wanted to give Mason a quick shout out. So Mountain Tough Outdoors, you know, if you guys are looking to, you know, support a young man in the industry that's just getting going, you know, head over to Mountain Tough and give them a follow on the YouTube. So he's kind of got some cool things to coming up on that. So Andrew, do you turn down your bow in poundage during the off season for practicing / 3D shoots? No, I don't. I don't change a thing with my bow from hunting season to 3D. And in fact, 3D shoots, it's my exact hunting setup. It's the arrows, the bow, the release, everything. Because to me, that's just more practice. So that's spending more time on that bow, spending more time getting to know how that bow shoots and how it fits me. And, you know, I talked about, you know, shooting every bow within your budget and finding the one that really fits you the best. And, you know, you may have to kind of sacrifice something. Like, for example, maybe you really like the draw cycle on the bow and the way you like it, you know, the way it holds, and you like how dead in the hand it is when it shoots, but you know, it has maybe a little thicker handle or a wider handle. Well, a lot of these bows today have these handles that you can actually take off, and then you just have the riser right there, and then you can go to a company like Rattler Grips and get side plates made for your bow. So so you could take that, you know, you like everything about the bow except for maybe that thicker handle. Well, take a look at that handle. Is it something that you can take off and then just add side plates so you have that skinnier handle? That's one of the things that I would say that you could, you know, compromise on to really kind of change. Or maybe it's vice versa. Maybe it has a really skinny handle and you like something a little thicker. Well, then you can, you know, there's Oh God, I'm trying to think. Lizard skin. Lizard skin. It's a bat wrap for a bat handle. You know, I've put that on my bows in the past, which is kind of cool because it adds just a little bit to that real skinny handle, but also gives a little bit of cushion. So you can modify some of this stuff, you know, to really get that bow to really how it fits you. You know, the same thing with sights. Do you shoot a single pin? Do you shoot a 3-pin adjustable? Do you shoot a 5-pin? Do you shoot a 7-pin? You know, that's one of those things that are personal preference, you know, on what you like. And I've shot multi-fixed pins over the years. I've probably shot more single pin than I have multi-pins, just because I really like the sight picture that I get in the single pin. You guys saw a picture of the option 4S that I posted. I will have a video coming up on that, but that is basically, I got the Traverse on Thursday. I got the sight on Thursday. Friday evening, I bolted everything together and ran down to the archery shop. Got it somewhat mostly dialed in. Shot it through the chrono to figure out what tape, and then I shot the whole 3D with that brand new setup, just because I wanted to see on that option 4S. And the 4S is basically 3 fixed pins that you can slide out of the way, and then you have a single slider. And I was actually using, you know, both options at the 3D shoot, and it was kind of cool. Really looking forward to playing with that sight and learning a lot more. So Hillbilly Hebrew just said the bow rack here in Eugene is great. Yeah, I've heard a lot of great things about the bow rack, G4 archery, Taekwondo archery. You know, there are a lot of good shops. The only reason I brought up Archery Unlimited in Etna there is because I know some people don't have a shop close by, and they're kind of leery about, you know, calling or buying from online. So it's kind of those guys that don't have access to a shop that I would recommend Archery Unlimited in a heartbeat for you guys to call and purchase from. Tyson on Instagram, hello, thanks for joining. So let's see, we had something else. Confidence is the biggest factor in gear decisions. My highest priority is what gives me the confidence to make the most humane kill possible. I was trying to spend more to get where I need to be. So yes, confidence in your gear is absolutely critical. So also, for those of you that are on here, if you watched that video Friday, I hope you enjoyed it. We do have several more matchups coming, and in fact, the next matchup that we have coming is the Bowtech Realm SR6 versus the Prime CT5. We also have the Realm SS versus the CT3, and the Hoyt RX3 versus the Matthews Verdicts. We also do have Obsession into the mix that we are reviewing and testing and trying to get. Also, some of you guys had asked about Expedition. So, but that next one, the SR6 versus CT5, is something that you guys asked for. So for those of you that have watched it and commented, you know, appreciate that. So APA 33XR. Lars, I would have to look. I don't know if we have any APA dealers in the area. That's the other factor that we have here too, is what I have access to with all of the shops. So let's see what else. Jerry, just put the HHA Tetra on my bow. First time using single pin. So far so good. Yeah, HHA, I shot them. So so for those of you that may be interested in this single pin, let's just kind of talk about that. So like I said, the one thing about a single pin is the sight picture that you get. So instead of having all these pins from the side, most of the time you have a vertical pin. So all the rest of the sight picture is wide open. Now, the one thing with single pins that some of you that maybe have never shot a single pin or are just starting to shoot a single pin, the thing you're going to find out is as you adjust that, that whole entire housing moves up or down, which means your anchor point is going to have to change just a little bit to keep that sight picture where it needs to be with your peep and the housing on that single pin. That's one thing I noticed this weekend with that option 4S with using the slider option is the housing stays put. It's the pin that actually moves. So with that slider pin moving, in essence, what it's doing is it's moving to the slot of where your 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 yard pin would be. So it's still almost your anchor point's still exactly the same. Your reference is still the same. So you have almost a little bit of that fixed pin approach mentality with that sight picture of a single pin. So it's kind of, the best of both worlds. So, like I said, we'll do a review on that. So, let's see. Scott Williams, do you have a recommendation for a good bow shop in Arizona? Scott, unfortunately, I don't. I haven't visited too many archery shops in Arizona. So maybe some of you that are on here tonight, if you're from Arizona, if you've got a good archery shop that you trust and believe in, throw them in the comments down below so we can maybe give Scott a little bit of a direction to a bow shop. So Matthew Flores, I need to shoot more. Don't we all? So something definitely constantly that we should be doing a lot more. Nicholas Curry, what's a good arrow rest? Ooh, that's a tough one there. So because again, there's personal preference. There's a lot of good brands out there. QAD is a good brand. Hamsky is a good brand. I've shot Ripcord in the past. They were okay, but back when I shot them, they were just coming out. I have not honestly given them a fair shake. I know their new lock rest is, from what I understand, is a really, really good rest. So John, I want to get a micro adjust sight. Anyone know a decent one to try? So John, what kind of micro adjustments are you wanting to do on the sight? So are you talking about just micro adjust clicks for windage and elevation to really dial it in? If you are, there's a lot of them now that have micro adjusts. So for your windage and elevation, so your Option Archery does, your Trophy Ridge React, Black Gold. There's several of them out there that have that micro adjust. So, okay. I'm liking the QAD Ultra Rest. The QAD Ultra Rest is a good rest. So that's the rest that I have on my wife's bow, and actually it's the rest that came onto that Matthews because they specifically make a Matthews version for the Matthews riser. Last year I shot the Hamsky. The Hamsky that I shot last year was a limb driven. Really good rest. The one thing I can see maybe with that is because there is a spring on it. I could see that spring losing tension over time if you shoot a ton. But I think if it's one of the things where you're checking your gear on a regular basis, you should be okay with that. So Glenn, the video changed my mind. I've been a Hoyt guy for the last 10 years. I am going to find a lefty Matthews and try it out. So yeah, and that's the thing. So now I'm not saying that you can't be, brand specific. So, and really honestly, what started this whole thing was, I have a good friend of mine that has been a Hoyt shooter and a factory sponsored shooter for 25 years. And I saw him post online that, for the first time in his life, he's carrying a Matthews. And, I just picked up the phone and called him and said, hey, what's the deal? And he basically said that he just woke up one morning and said, you know what, I'm going to go down to the bow shop and I'm going to shoot all the brands. I'm just going to see what advancements have changed in these other bow lines, what things have changed, just to, you know, double check. So yeah, you could certainly, you know, like Glenn said, he's a Hoyt guy for 10 years. Why not once in a while? I mean, if you go to an archery shop and you're shooting, why not just grab another bow off of the rack, fling a few arrows with it, see how it feels? So, you know, kind of re-solidify what you have really fits you, because like I said, guys, things change all the time. So advancements in technology, it's just incredible what they're doing. So Hillbilly Hebrew, what do you like best, a horizontal single pin or a vertical single pin? So, you know, honestly, for years, every single pin that I've had is that vertical single pin. This one is my first horizontal single pin, and really, I didn't have any problems with it at the 3D shoot. And in fact, there was a couple of targets where that horizontal pin was kind of nice, because I could use that horizontal line as a reference point on a part of the target to where I wanted my pin. But I've also done the same thing in the past with the vertical, where you use that post to put it right on the back of the leg as a vertical reference, or this or that. So I can't really go one way or another right now on that, Hillbilly, just because I have a lot more time behind a vertical single pin, but I did like the horizontal this weekend. So let me shoot with it some more, and I'll get back to you on that one. Chad, Whisker Biscuit. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. So I know some guys that use Whisker Biscuits are extremely accurate. And honestly, if you want a rest that you don't have to worry about parts breaking or parts failing or this or that, Whisker Biscuit is the way to go. In fact, there's been times in the past where I've had something malfunction or break on my rest, and I sat there and said, you know what? Forget this. I'm going to eliminate these moving parts, and I'm just going to go to a Whisker Biscuit. Is a Whisker Biscuit 100% perfect? No. Because it has its drawbacks. You know, obviously it has a little bit more drag on the arrow. It's going to slow the arrow down. You know, depending on the temperature, whether they're, you know, frozen up. Also, the end of those whiskers do get worn out, so you get a little bit of wobble and play. But for a bomb-proof, if you want a bomb-proof backcountry rest that you don't have to worry about, the Whisker Biscuit is the way to go. And they're inexpensive enough that you can carry a second one with you, so that if something did happen with the one, you can bolt that other one on and you're back up and running in a hurry. So Andrew Walla from YouTube, no anchor movement with the Option 8 all the way out to 100 yards. Love it, and their customer service. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, Andrew, because any of the Option, the 4S, the 8S, any of them, you're going to use the same exact anchor point, because the housing is not moving. It's the pin, which I really, really like that concept of it. Like I said, it's kind of combining, you know, the best of both worlds, but the fact where you have that consistency every single time. I could see where this site is just going to be a tack driver out to long yardages. So Larry Bennett, I'm sorry, dinner time, got to leave you, not a problem. Thanks for jumping in. So John Oliver, not interested in the windage, just for easier adjust when I sight in. Messing with pins, I find when tightening them down, they move slightly up or down, taking my zero off. Okay, and Jonathan, what I mean by windage is, so on a lot of these sites, your micro adjust, your windage is your left to right, and then your elevation is your up or down. So the best way to sight in, and I will do a video on this, is basically they have sight in targets, which looks like an NFAA blue face target but it has 2 vertical lines and 2 horizontal lines. You can also do this with tape. What you're doing with that vertical line is that's where you're dialing in and micro dialing and adjusting your windage, your left to right. So, you put a piece of tape vertically, you shoot 3 arrows, one at the top, one at the middle, one at the bottom, so you don't have to worry about blowing nocks, but you can also get consistent to where you are, left or right of that line. Then you make those micro adjust until all 3 arrows are in that tape. And when I say tape, I'm not talking about a 2-inch wide. I'm talking about a 1/2 inch wide tape, because you're only doing this from 20 yards. Walk that in so that all 3 arrows are as close to the center on that tape as you can get. Then you have your horizontal line for doing your up or down adjustments. If you take your time, and so many people that I see when they are dialing in is they'll shoot a group and then they're trying to adjust their left to right and their up and down at the same time. Focus on one adjustment at a time, and that's where this vertical and this horizontal come in. Start with the vertical or start with the horizontal, it doesn't matter, but I usually start with the vertical and get my left to right set. Then I'll move to the horizontal tape and get my elevation set at the 20 yards. Then once that is set, then if you're shooting a multi-pin, fixed pin, then you are actually just moving your pins themselves. And as far as the up or down that you're talking about, yeah, there are some that do have some micro adjust on those so that you can just loosen up one and kind of click it in. So, but yeah, John, you've got a lot of options out there for different sites to do what you're wanting to. And I will do, I've kind of already started putting the pieces together with this new bow of going through the whole process of setting it up, and I'll walk you guys through all that stuff. So love my QAD Ultra. I shot the Trophy Taker Smackdown Pro rest itself, but I don't like the limb string. Hooked it multiple times during archery season. We'll be trying out some others this year. Yeah, and that's one of the things with the limb driven, you have that extra string, that extra cable that's going all the way down. One more thing to get caught into branches or brush or this or that. They claim that the limb driven is faster. It pulls the rest out of the way faster and gets better clearance. It really depends on how fast your bow is and what you're shooting, and you can test it, if you're getting clearance or not. But then you can also do different setups with changing the diameter of your arrow. There's a lot of different factors. That's one crazy thing about archery is there are so many options and choices for you to dial in and find what you like and what performs best for you, and your setup's going to be completely different than anybody else, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I do get a chuckle sometimes when I see groups and they are exactly the same head to toe, every piece of everything, and nothing wrong with that. That's their thing. But I think it's kind of interesting because I bet some of those might benefit if they just changed or tweaked or this or that. So Tex Grant, Facebook. Hello. Mark Matthews, Facebook. Are you going to be at the Pacific Northwest Sportsman Show? Yes, I am. My flight comes in Friday morning at 8 a.m. I will be there all day Friday, all day Saturday. Pretty much will be in the Bendable Products booth or the Archers Afield booth. But yes, I will be there. So Ron, love my Hamsky Hunter Rest. FOC or overall mass important in a hunting arrow? Howard, that is a great question, and that is honestly one of the big debates. I'm a believer in FOC. Others believe mass weight. In fact, I just started listening to a podcast today It was Garrett, On Point with Garrett Weaver is the podcast, but it was Garrett, and he was talking with Brian from Deep Six. And I'm really interested to, listen to this podcast. So also, for those of you over on the Elk Calling Academy Patreon page, I just put a video where I dove deeper into FOC. I also put up a couple of articles up there about FOC and momentum and kinetic energy and all that. So if you're not a member of the Patreon page, if you're not a patron, head over there. There is some information on there. And also, I mentioned last week that as soon as we get to 400 patrons, I'm going to draw one random patron. That individual is going to get the bow of their choice. Any bow that's on the market, any hunting bow that is on the market, they will get to choose that. But I also thought, you know what, why not do something at 100 patrons, 200 patrons, 300 patrons? So at 100 patrons, we're going to give away a brand new hunting pack to a random. Also, advantages of being patrons, there's percentages, discounts on Elk Calling Academy gear. If you become a herd bull, you automatically get an Elk Calling Academy hat. But also the gear that we're testing all summer, the head-to-head gear, I don't need all that gear lying around, so I'm going to give it to the patrons that support the page. So a lot of advantages to get over there. So Whisker Biscuit is user-friendly. Yes, it is. It's one of those things that I was talking about. So Scott, yeah, he switched from a Whisker Biscuit to a drop away, shot through a chrono, and only picked up 2 feet per second. Yeah, it's not a huge drag on that arrow. It's not a lot of feet per second that you're losing by going with the Whisker Biscuit. So it's more of that consistency of the whiskers wearing out. You would get a lot of grief in camp with a Whisker Biscuit. Okay, Glenn's saying that to GCs. You could, but like Scott said, not if you're killing stuff. If they have a problem with their rest, if it breaks on the mountainside, are they really going to give you a lot of grief? No, they're not. So, okay. Used one for a while, moved to the trade. John, thanks for tuning in. So, this is a cool thing about this topic, the many options and factors that play a role in all of this. Great stuff. So, Freddie, thank you. So, Bucks and Bulls this weekend over in Twin Falls. Tony, is that a 3D shoot? Bucks and Bulls. Not familiar. What is that? Give us more information. So, okay, guys, got about 12 minutes left tonight. So last round, if you have any questions, drop them into the comment section. So, okay. Also on the Patreon page, you're going to find 3 tiers. There's Spike, Raghorn, Herd Bull. There is kind of some of this information that we dive into or that we talk about on these Q&A over on the Patreon page. I actually dive a lot deeper down some of these rabbit holes and really give a lot of information. Plus the ability for, the patrons to ask for specific topics or information. So there is videos specific only to patrons. That there are some, public videos over there, but there's also videos and information that are only for patrons. So, and the Herd Bull group is kind of a group that gets some more detailed calling videos and strategy videos. So like I said, there are incentives to each of those. Scott Schmidt, how do I join Patreon? You can actually just go to the Patreon page, patreon.com is the page. Do a search for Elk Calling Academy. That will take you to our page, and then right there you can there's an orange button that says become a patron. choose whatever tier you want and go from there. So, Scott Williams, have you ever been drawn to hunt Arizona for elk? I have not. So, and honestly, Scott, I've never put in for Arizona. So, you know, me personally, the way I look at it, I think there's some really, really good hunting opportunities that are close by. You know, Idaho, I've been to Montana, I've been to Colorado. Plus the amount of time that it takes to draw some of those units in Arizona is really, really tough. Terry, thank you for posting the link to the Patreon page. So, Nicholas Curry, do you have elk hunting videos on YouTube? So, Nicholas, not actual hunting videos yet. I have a ton of footage from over the years. The only thing is, you know, a lot of that footage is from when I was with Bugling Bull Game Calls and the DVD series and the TV show and all that we had back then. We did start carrying a camera this year. So, yes, we are starting to put together in the field videos of out in the field with interactions so that you guys can see them. So, Trail Runner Realtor, do you put in Wyoming for elk tags? I used to, so I haven't for a while. I've really kind of slowed down on going out of state because here in Idaho, it's kind of cool as a resident. You know, we purchase our Sportsman's package, which actually comes with an elk tag. But in August, if there are leftover non-resident tags, we can purchase those non-resident tags at a discounted rate, which means I can get a second elk tag for right here in Idaho for $287. I can't really go out of state for $287. So, plus, with the group that I have, I'm pretty focused on their success as well. And so it's pretty hard to leave and go hunt to another state when I have guys in my group that have not, you know, punched their tag yet. I wouldn't feel right about leaving camp because, you know, they helped me get mine off the mountain, and it's just kind of that group effort. So, okay. Let's see. Bugle me this. I came in late. What are the different prices for the Patreon? Okay, the Spike is $5 a month. The Raghorn is $10 a month. The Herd Bull is $15 a month. But like I said, you know, you have the opportunity to win a lot of this gear that we're testing. And I mean, you know, $15 a month through the year, but you get drawn for that bow, and you know, so 15 for a year, it's $180 for a year, but you get drawn for the bow and you choose the Hoyt Carbon. Man, you just got a $1,700 bow for a $180 investment. That's not bad, plus the information that you're getting also. So, Scott, they're world class here, but like you said, hard to draw. Yeah, I know there's stud bulls down there. So, Scott Williams, is it true the elk herds in Idaho are being hurt with the wolf population? Yes, there are areas in Idaho where the elk population has just been decimated. So, you know, wolves have kind of moved out of those areas. Elk populations are starting to come back in some of those areas, but there are still areas in Idaho where the elk are meeting objective or are above objective. So if you are thinking about coming to Idaho to hunt, there are a lot of great over-the-counter opportunities. You just have to do your homework. And honestly, guys, we can have a whole other discussion on that. Forums is not the place to start doing your homework on areas to hunt. So because you're going to get some people that don't want you in that area, that's going to give you false information. Other people maybe hunted there 10 years ago. They don't know what happened since then, so the information they give you is a little outdated. So there's definitely a lot of other avenues to go on that. And I know we've talked about it in the past on another Wapiti Wednesday Q&A. So if you are thinking about coming to Idaho, you might just go to our YouTube page and go through the videos, and there's a Wapiti Wednesday Q&A where I think we were talking about how to choose hunting areas for out of state. So Tony, Bucks and Bulls Banquet is a competition to showcase biggest racks of 2018 season. There will be prizes given, dinner, raffles, and silent auction. Sounds like a good time. So if any of you are in the Twin Falls area, Bucks and Bulls Banquet this weekend. Tony, thank you for letting us know. Bugle me this. I'll check it out, being the herd bull that I like it. Grant, the info is priceless, well worth the money. Grant actually is one of our herd bull patrons, so we do have a couple in here. Hillbilly Hebrew, how's the website coming along? Will website members be able to receive bennies like on Patreon? Not much has been going on the website, just because I'm waiting for that white stuff that's on the mountain to get out of the way so that I can get up there in the trees and really film a lot of the lessons. And honestly, now that I have the patron page, I've kind of actually been toying with the fact that instead of doing the website with the annual membership, that I may just put all this stuff on the Patreon page. So that way you guys can have access to the benefits that we do on the Patreon, and really, you know, give that information to you guys, and really give back for, you know, supporting us. So Cheyenne, is Idaho still doing discounted out-of-state tags in August? I only saw that 1 year and haven't seen it since. So I believe they still are. So I didn't get a second tag last year, so I don't know. Wyatt, no, send them to Montana or Wyoming. Yes, I know, guys. So Freddie must run. Always educational, insightful. 2 more weeks before the show. Freddie, yes, looking forward to seeing you down there in Portland. So I know, yes, guys, I did say there are opportunities in Idaho. I mean, nobody really wants to give up, you know, their hunting spot in their backyard, especially a spot that they've taken years to learn. It is public ground. There is quite a bit of money that does come into each of the states from non-resident hunters. But yeah, I don't know. So Trail Runner Realtor, how did you get started with the Academy? So I actually started Elk Calling Academy just because, I mean, I've helped people kind of get going on the calling side of things. And finally, I actually had a couple of people that offered to pay me for my time, and I was like, no, you don't have to do that. And they were very adamant about it. And, you know, they were like, you're taking time away from your family, you know, you're donating, your time is worth something. And that just what got me thinking, you know, we can pay for piano lessons and guitar lessons and all this other stuff. So, you know, why not elk calling lessons? And that's kind of how the Elk Calling Academy got started. So Trail Runner, love that. We hunt as a party. So all right, guys, it is well, we have about a minute and a half left on Instagram before it shuts me down. So I think we are going, any chance you've got an Elk Calling Academy app in the works, bugle me this. You never know what might be coming in the future. So all right, guys, we are going to shut this down since Instagram is about ready to shut me down. I usually use that as my time for the hours. So all of you, appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Once again, another great night of questions and interactions with all of you guys. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being active. Thank you for you know, participating. So Friday's video is actually going to be the review of the diaphragm reeds from Abe & Sons, and then the following week we will get back into the bow review videos. So anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you. As always, keep calling, keep practicing, but most importantly, have fun while doing it. We will see you guys next week on the next episode of Wapiti Wednesday Q&A, brought to you by Elk Calling Academy. Have a great week, everybody.